On today's episode, Dixon and I talk about Omaha's Whiskey Festival and the launch of Golden Sheaf Bourbon and Rye, as well as bottling 2XO, which comes to market soon.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon and David Mark Young.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Blending Bourbon, a podcast that kind of takes you under the tent and talks about what it's really like to do this bourbon thing. My name is Rudy Applestein, brake pad specialist for Ray Ray's Brakes and Bagels. I'm happy to be here today with the king of wire or dial-up internet, the owner and master blender of Golden Sheaf, the proud sponsor of this podcast, Mr. David Mark Young. David Mark Young, beautiful background today. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Dixon. How are you?
Good. Sorry, it was my alias today.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know where that came from. I apologize. It's already been a long day.
I'm sure it has. What are you doing today? Why has it been a long day?
Well, it's a big day. I mean, I've spent the last 2 weeks on the road. I arrived home last night, got into my house around 9 p.m. This morning. Super exciting day. We dumped the barrels that will be bottled as the Phoenix blend, my first blend out of 2XO. So I basically landed, went to sleep, got up, and got to producing product. So it's awesome. been a big few days.
Big day, big couple days, big couple weeks. Yeah, congratulations. By the way, I saw the video you sent. Looked like those barrels went on for a country mile.
Yeah, there were a few.
They were
honestly, well, yeah, that's, I don't know if you want to get into this now or not, but
yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I was like talking to my wife. I kind of feel like for the first time in a couple weeks, like really in person talking, and she was like, "Are you excited?" And I was like, I am. I'm incredibly excited. But and anybody who does this knows that this is kind of the most anxious point in the process, right? I mean, you pull a ton of samples, and you obviously you can't weigh every barrel. You can't go and gauge the volume of liquid in every barrel, and you have a lot of information at your disposal. But there's nothing that gives me kind of those butterfly feelings more than you're watching these barrels being dumped and thinking, oh my gosh, is the volume that I was looking for gonna hit? Is the profile gonna hit? Is it it's just I don't know, it's like it's thrilling, scary. But it's kind of scary as hell. I mean,
stressful. Yeah. And that was a lot of barrels. So how many barrels do you have out there?
It was 100, a little over 100.
That's a lot of barrels. That's a lot of barrels.
I would have been posting like a madman, but everything has to have approval and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's just, it's like that weird, like I have two emotions, like two feelings going on. Like one is this insane excitement. It's been this, forever process to get to this point. We're finally putting stuff in a bottle. I can finally start sharing this with people. I can get it out. We can do it. We can, hit the road and pour samples and whatever. But all the ciphering, all the figuring, all the, there's a certain element of guesswork involved in that. And, it's like that kind of, I don't know, first date fuzzy, butterflies in your stomach or something like that. Like it's just,
how's this gonna end?
Yeah.
We just went through the same thing ourselves, and we're dumping into our tanks, blending, and I'm constantly in my head doing math, writing notes down every step of the way, every time we get a barrel in there. And of course, dump the barrel and then weigh the barrel, get tare weight, and then, rinse and repeat. And then I'm watching the fill gauge on the tank as it goes up. And then I'm calculating, okay, how many gallons. I got my little app calculating how many gallons we're going to put to get down to the proof that we're targeting. And oh god, yeah. But you know what? I mean, and that's not your first rodeo.
No, but it's equally. I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to say I don't have that luxury, but I mean, they roll these things and there's 20 barrels dumping at a time. So it's not like, oh, okay, we're already here, let's back off of this, or we need to, I mean, I had to, send a barrel manifest, and those barrels were shipped to where we're bottling, and I mean, to adjust it at this point would take an act of Congress, just because of all parties involved. So you're kind of, I mean, and then then it comes out and they do the tank, and it's right at the proof that my test blend was at barrel proof, and I'm doing the numbers, and then you pull that, you get that sample, and it's like, okay, is this going to match? So it's been, I mean, but then when it hits and you're just like, fuck yeah,
right on. Right.
I mean,
right on. So
I got some right here in my 2XO glass.
Cheers. That's awesome. Yeah. I can't wait to try. That's fantastic. So tell me.
Yeah, I'll ship you my that bottle as soon as you ship me yours.
I had those bottles in your hand. I should have just
6 months
at the airport. I know. Yeah. Well, I've got right here.
Oh,
here.
Yeah. You have a few.
That's one of yours, and that's one of yours.
Oh, nice. I like
you get a rye, you'll get a bourbon. I think it even says Dixon on there.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You were going to ask me, but I'm going to ask you first.
Okay. Shoot.
And for a little bit of backstory, I just, like I said, I just landed last night, Sunday night. Came into town. I came into town a day early on Friday and did kind of the Omaha market visit. But the purpose of my visit was to watch you pretty much own the Nebraska whiskey or Omaha Whiskey Festival.
Gosh,
give me your take. I mean, were you happy with? I can't. If you say anything other than you were thrilled, I'm gonna. But
absolutely thrilled.
How'd it go?
Beyond belief. Yeah, absolutely. When things finally calmed down, we were able to, got you off to the airport and stepped away and had a minute to catch up on what's going on in the rest of the world. It was like, wow, that was pretty badass. Yeah, extremely grateful. We had such a great team. Thank you for all your effort, hard work, travel, time, everything, coming out and supporting the team. Being there, having Dixon Dedman in the corner, supporting Golden Sheaf is a dream come true. Absolutely. That fanboy still comes out of me.
Eyes rolling.
No, this is no shit. This is straight from the barrel. 100% absolutely thrilled. It all has aligned. I don't know if it's intentional, planning, but last couple of weeks has just been headache after headache, hurdle after hurdle, but we got there, we got over it. We got product out in the wild. We got that call from our distributor. Hey, good news. We sold everything. Bad news. We oversold. Give us more product. All good news, good problems to have. And then, that was our target. That was our milestone ahead of Whiskey Festival. We're just a little brand. right now?
With a lot of potential. Let me ask you this, because I do believe that, it for lack of a better, a horrible cliche, it takes a village, right? I mean, it definitely takes a village. And, there's one of the things I took away from this festival and doing the event Friday night, things like that, or, you really have an incredible support staff. Like you've got, I mean, Lindsay, yes, but then beyond that, these guys that volunteer, one guy made his own shirt.
Tyler,
I mean, you've got and I think from an outsider's perspective, that is a clear indication of the fact that people believe in what you're doing. They're proud to be a part of it. They're engaged, and they see this thing that's happening with Golden Sheaf. And I mean, that's got to make you feel really good, right? That like you really had more people than you needed willing to help you at the festival, and that says a lot.
I had to, thank you. I had to turn people away because there are more people that want to help than we can really, you can only cram so many people in that space. But yeah, absolutely. Steven, Tyler,
not Steven Tyler.
Not Steven Tyler.
There's a Steven and a Tyler.
Tyler and Steven, my partner, Sean, Lindsay, Clint came out. We had a lot of folks. It was really great. No shortage of help. And you're right. It takes a village. It takes a great team. And I get that, the last 24 hours we've been exchanging. I put out a message to the team, said, thank you. By the way, you're invited. If you can make it out this Saturday, we're going to have a little gathering to celebrate the launch and the successful whiskey festival. So we invited a number of folks out during the day before the Husker game, because everything in Nebraska shuts down for Husker football. But yeah, and then since then we've been exchanging these individual messages, and it's emotional for me. It really is, because I'm all in, and I'm all in. I haven't had a paycheck in a year, and I decided to jump ship from my cybersecurity career and do this, and because I believe in it. So it's good to hear that other people believe in it. To see some of the fans of Golden Sheaf and folks that wanted bottles signed, that's gosh, it's surreal to me. So
but what about that response too? I mean, the response to the whiskey you were pouring was overwhelming. I mean, it had to be. I mean, I think you were best in show.
I appreciate that. I like to think so, and that's not being cocky. That's just I'm proud and confident in the product,
and really good at what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll stake that claim for sure. Always open, open to improve and always make better products. But I think we're on a definite trajectory for success. Absolutely, we got a great backstory, a true backstory, and great business model, great team, and amazing juice. So yeah, that to me is a formula for success. We had a lot of people interested in the backstory, and that's really what that is. That draws people in. And I always say you have to have an amazing juice to keep them coming back, because a great backstory and a half-assed juice is gimmick. But best.
Would you say? Don't you think that, and not that that's what you're looking for? I mean, I feel like we've had this conversation before. We both come at it from the same place. Like I want to make the best thing that I can make, and like that. Yeah. And that's enough, right? But events like that, they sure make the headaches and the fires that you're constantly having to put out. Like, you have to remind yourself when you're dealing with those things, like, there's great things to come from this. I mean, a lot of people don't get it. They don't see the parts
delays, the challenges, the sorry, it's going to be another couple weeks, all the things. Yeah. complications with the machinery, right? Labeling and bottling, even delays in receiving the barrels. You were talking about blending samples, and then, okay, where's your barrels? And sometimes, might not even get the right barrels. You get the wrong barrels, and then which could perhaps lead to better things, or bigger opportunities down the line. But yeah, absolutely. So that festival, was absolutely, I admit it, I was tearing up quite a bit throughout the whole thing, as people were talking to me, and I'm thinking, gosh, people are listening, because I said that over and over and over. And then people are repeating it back, and they're drinking the juice. And, and not just at the end of the whiskey festival when they were full of whiskey, but at the beginning of the whiskey festival when they were trying it. So, I firmly believe that we're developing a pretty solid fan base, and we're going to continue to do that. I think, like I said, I'm pretty confident in our business model and the future of our products as we roll them out.
Well, I would just like to say, as somebody who has attended probably a few too many whiskey festivals, that event was first class. Laurie and her team and what they put on, and it was very well organized. It was, they had great vendors. They had, they had every, it's not like you go to some of these and it's like, oh, you didn't bring your own water. Like, right. I mean, all the little things that they needed to think through and take care of. I just thought it was first class. I thought it was a first class event, and Omaha should be proud of that event. And I mean, my goodness, 1,500 tickets sold, like that, if nothing else, that says, I went back to our team, and that's a whole nother story, but we were talking about the allocation that we're sending to Nebraska and whatever. And I was like, look, there are certain places that I don't mean to say get overlooked, but you're always trying to service the big market, whatever. But then I go to certain markets, and I'm just blown away, not only by the enthusiasm, but also the education and how into bourbon and whiskey that some of these markets are. And there are other markets that get serviced because of their size, where it's less about whatever. But I was thoroughly impressed with Omaha, with the accounts we visited, with that general whiskey community. I think that says a lot about what's going on out there.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it right there. Is that initially you're talking about help, and more help than we can even bring on. That's just it. We have such a big, passionate community about whiskey. I agree. Lori and team did such a great job. Matter of fact, she sent some statistics out this morning. So 1,000 general admission tickets, 450 VIP. They had a designated driver program, so you get discounted tickets if you sign up as a designated driver. They had 29 of those, 114 volunteers, and there were 67 booths total. They raised quite a bit of money for some pretty great.
And they were smart enough to, towards the end of the event, to set up a row of wheelchairs with trash cans in front of them, and several people were using them. They kind of the amateurs that were trying to get their money's worth.
First timers, rookies.
That happens at everyone, but
you're gonna have those, yeah. But it was still top notch, first class event. Yeah,
I tell you what. I mean, I feel like I need to say this, and this is probably gonna get me in trouble.
That's what this is about, right?
Yeah, especially coming off the piece I just sent you the link to earlier. Mm-hmm. So my the brand I was formerly associated with just happened to be right next to the Golden Sheaf table. I'm standing there, and you keep introducing me to people, and people, we're talking, and I'm telling everybody what are you doing next, and blah 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 blah. And I keep hearing my name. I keep hearing. And sure enough, like they're over there pouring a product and saying, yes, Dixon Deadman, our master blender. Like, dude, I haven't blended anything for them in 18 months. You know, it was just, I don't know. That just, I was like on an airplane flying home and chuckled about that 3 times. Like, I guess
some people are in denial still, I suppose.
Denial ain't just a river in Egypt. I don't know, right. But it was, I found that to be funny. But all in all, great. I mean, great event, great festival.
Great event.
I want to say, and I, you know, I mean this, like the best thing I tasted at that festival, hands down, was the Golden Sheaf rye.
Wow.
The Golden Sheaf rye, it blew me away. And I think it's one of the finest whiskeys I have tasted in a long time. And I mean,
I don't know, Dixon, are you blowing smoke?
I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I will be more than willing to taste that blind against anything you want me to taste it against. I just think it's exceptional. I think
that's pretty bold. Well, thank you. You know, that's consistent with what we're getting. That's what I'm drinking here right now. And you had said that while you were
I would be too if I had some. I just don't.
Well, we will get it in the crate. We'll get it shipped to you then. But it's right here. No, it's right here. Here it is, right there.
Yeah, no, it was.
Thank you very much for that.
Exceptional.
I appreciate that. You know, surprisingly, so a little backstory about it. I'm not a rye guy. Lindsay is.
It's a good thing you have the rye girl or gal.
The rye queen.
Queen. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, she had a heavy hand in this, you know, influence this flavor profile together. You know, we had kind of sculpted it and kind of gone down a path and then brought it down to to 109 proof where it is. And, but the feedback that we get, so I've never blended just a rye, and you know, we're rolling out this rye product, and you know, for months and months and months I've been losing sleep over this, and you know, experimenting in my sleep, waking up in the middle of the night, you know, blend something up, taste it, you know, start the day, smell it, taste it. And I just kept saying to myself, I'm not a rye guy. I love bourbon. I have a hard time stepping out and sampling Irish whiskey or tequila. Not really, but I don't know it. I'm not as confident with it. So, you know, we're throwing this together, and it just kind of occurred to me that, okay, this has to be a step in the right direction. It can't be full on, head first, 100% rye, 90, you know, your standard 95.5. And so, yeah, we tweaked it a little bit, and I loosely refer to it as transition rye. It's selfishly my transition from
it's gateway drug rye, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And it's the gateway, you know, my transition into the rye realm. So I can say I've entered the rye realm, and I'm happy, and now we're going to venture even further down that path. And
that's interesting. So like I talk to this, or I don't talk to this a lot, but I think about this a lot. And so coming, you know, you went through all of the challenges and there are plenty of them to get product in a bottle, right? I mean, you know, it's just, and it's like, I mean, I've never birthed a child. I've never been pregnant. But you know, I think about what it takes and what you go through and the changes and the, you know, whatever. And then you finally get this out, and then the response is as positive and as incredible as what you're feeling, right? And then it's only, you then you have an event like this where all your hard work and everything you've been through is applauded and celebrated and things like that. Like coming after that, like when you got home, I know y'all had to go to like football games and stuff like that, but like when you think back on that little journey that you just went on and what emotionally what you took from that and all that stuff, like how what's where are you like you kind of like feel like you got a little taste of something and you can't wait to keep going? I mean,
I start blending.
Yeah.
We did. We had, and not to go in detail, but we spent 4 hours in the emergency room last night because of a football game. Everybody's okay, but there's always something. And yeah, so get home, finally everything settles down and there's some quiet, look at social media. Throughout the day, I kind of looked at social media and was, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff out there, and surely there's going to be something that's going to, sting a little bit. Somebody's going to, have some negative comments or something, unsavory to say. And I got to the end of it and I'm like, that's it. And I'm jumping from social media platform to platform and I'm looking and all great stuff, all positive stuff. And so, I'm taking a sip of rye, Golden Sheaf rye. And I was just like, wow, that can't be it. Back up a little bit. So week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, we put the product out. And it went to the distributor, and then it's just kind of, here it goes. What? It's going to hit the shelves, and then you see social media, retailers picking up their stuff, and then you see the retailer or the end consumer, they get a product, and then somebody finally cut, hey, look, I got a bottle, and I'm. By this time, I'm just like, what do you think? Just, give me your feedback. I want to know what you think. Great. I love that it got into the store. I love that it's gotten into your home. And now, I just want people to drink it. I just want people to hear their feedback. And I do love all feedback. There's a lot of emotion in this, but I want to hear bad feedback. If there's bad feedback, I want to hear those opportunities to improve. You're never going to make everybody happy, but, I try to take a moment to, it's a little overwhelming, but to get out there and respond to all the comments too, and actually, solicit feedback. So that's kind of my decompressing time.
So I have, if this is, I'm sure we can edit this if we need to, but I'm just curious.
Can we?
This is a genuine question. Like I'm genuinely asking you this question.
You're going to try to make me cry.
No. Because I'm just interested in your response. Like how much weight do you give, or how important to you is what you read and the comments that are made on social media? Like, I mean, is that kind of where you're, like how you're gauging, where you're looking for the most feedback from from what you're doing? I mean, is it?
Not really. At the end of the day, before I've done very few releases, but I've done other blends and collaborations, and at the end of the day, when my pick or my final say goes out, I believe in it, and I do want to know what the consumer thinks. Mm-hmm. However, I think I can say this with confidence. If all of a sudden I'm, overwhelmed with how shitty the product is, I think I would be pretty surprised. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has to be over the top in love with it. I want some bad feedback. I want to hear, I don't even want to call it bad feedback. I think it's all good feedback to me. Matter of fact, I tend to gravitate toward the negative feedback because I want to know more. I want to know where there are areas for improvement. And so, there's also the business hat and the craftsman hat, the blender hat. Right?
Do you filter the social media feedback? Like, in terms of, there are some opinions I value and there are some opinions that they're just like the keyboard critics who have to rip everything down. Yeah. I mean, that's...
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think, you've been, because you're a social media superstar, right? You're like... I don't know. You're right up there with the Kardashians in number of followers or something like that.
No, not.
But I remember, when
I know social media, but
I did Kentucky Owl, and I'm sure I've told you the story, but we, and I don't think Instagram existed. I think it was everything lived on Facebook, and it was groups, and Facebook was everything, and
MySpace.
It may have been slightly post MySpace. I'm not sure, but we launched this product, this brand. I was plugged into all these Facebook groups. I was in several and barrel picking groups and all this stuff. And we launched Kentucky Owl, and then and just in Kentucky, 1,100 bottles in Kentucky.
I know. Yeah, that baffles me.
And it absolutely, it was like everybody on social media everybody on Facebook had to come out with a comment. They didn't taste it. They didn't buy it. They didn't have access to it. Right. They didn't know anything about it, but they were just ripping us apart.
Yeah.
So much so that, every bottle had sold, but I was so upset that at that time I had 2 children. I put my 2 children and my wife in the car. We drove to South Carolina. I rented a condo at the beach and said, I'm not looking at Facebook for 5 days. I'm not answering email. I'm not dealing with, I just can't. Like it just ate me alive. And I kind of realized that some of those people were they just come at you because they've got nothing better to do.
Those are the trolls. Yeah.
And the greatest thing that happened, we were like walking down the beach, and it's freezing cold. My daughter is jumping into these like cold tidal pools, and it was, my phone rings, and it was a South Carolina number. And so I thought that it was like, Mr. Dedman, your credit card has declined and we need you out of the condo ASAP or something like that. And it happened to be the people at Garden and Gun magazine telling us that we had, won that Made in the South award. And it couldn't have come at a better time for me, because I paid so much attention to social media that it put me in such a, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. And I think that, to your point, like, you can take a lot from social media, but I'm not sure that, that's the best place to get the overarching.
You've got to triage it.
Yeah.
You got to triage it. Yeah. Cause there are those trolls. There are the ones that, they're saying stuff just to be heard, that they may not be, experiencing it. They may not have tried it. And, but for whatever reason, they're, wanting to get their voice out there. I not to go into detail, but I have some background with social media experiments and that sort of thing. And so I know what it feels like for someone to, jump out of the bushes and say you're an asshole and then run, guerrilla warfare tactics. And wait, what? And then everybody's talking about that. Right. And it's like, no. The first thing you want to do is defend yourself. And that, it's a lesson in humility. And I remember, and this is years ago. And so a lot of that carries forward for me now. Now I look for it. And some of it, okay, just let it be. It's just noise. Let it be noise. It'll always be noise. But so I in particular look for that value add. I don't even want to call it negativity. It's not negative to me. It's just improvement, opportunity. And if somebody's willing to share, I'm willing to listen and hear what they have to say. And, perhaps we'll even end up sitting down and sharing some and talking about it. And
you have great stories with some of your team with that exactly the same thing happened. I mean, I came back from that trip and I said, you know what? I forgot this. And sometimes the comments people make and the shit people throw makes you forget this. I came back and I was like, you know what? I'm actually really proud of this stuff. Like, I'm really proud of what I did. And I, so a lot of these people that were making the most noise, I said, you know what? Just send me your address. Just give me your address. I'll send you a sample. You haven't had it. I'll send you a sample. And 9 out of 10 came back and said, you know what, dude, I was totally wrong.
Right.
Like, this is legit. And, but it's funny because, and I don't think it's just bourbon. I think it's probably anything. I mean, it's just everybody, social media provides everybody with a microphone, and that's not a bad thing. We all have it, but it's just, it can hurt sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. And it's easier to have a voice when you don't have to be present or, have a face-to-face conversation. So yeah, more people are prone to just voicing their opinion, and you'll always have that. And but it's there's nothing quite like being at a whiskey festival where everybody's.
That's a whole different situation when you look somebody right in the eye and they, well, look, I mean, crazy week. But I think, I kudos to all your success, and I'm proud of you and proud of what what you all accomplished. And the Omaha Whiskey Fest was incredible. It was a great time. Thank you for everything out there. And I mean, I think, it's this cycle, right? Like, I'm kind of at the different part. Like, you've got your stuff out, and like I don't know. It's just it's a constant cycle. But
it is.
It kind of, at least for me, you get it out. You get out there with people, and all it does for me is energizes me and makes me want to get back to work and do it again, and that certainly, makes up for all the headache and trials that come.
It does. It absolutely does. Yeah. And this week is huge for you, and it just started. So, thanks for coming out to Omaha and supporting Golden Sheaf and the Omaha Whiskey Festival, and of course 2XO, absolutely. And we want to support you and 2XO as well. But knowing what you're getting into this week, I can only imagine where your head was all weekend. Trying to stay focused on where you're at, but thinking about the week ahead. So, I think our next podcast, Dixon Dedman, should be about this next week, and what I want to hear the challenges that you've run into, those 100-some barrels that y'all are rolling and dumping, and all the detail, the nitty-gritty things I want to hear. And I'm sure our listeners want to hear about those challenges behind the scenes, what's going on,
Well, we'll see about that. If things don't go well, I may just retire to an island in the middle of nowhere, and y'all will never hear from me again. But we'll certainly see. I think I don't know. I'm going to go follow up with some of these bottling calls that I just missed, and you get back to taking care of whoever was injured on the football field, and all of those things that people are supposed to do, where they subscribe and click on that thing and do all those
here.
Yeah, all of those things. There's a bell maybe, or a thumbs up sign, or
something up here.
Yes,
or over here.
We'll in the comment section, David will list his address for you to send the urine samples to, and all sounds good. So, all right, man. Well, look, I appreciate it. Let's we'll be back at it next week. I'll have stuff in a bottle. You'll be working towards getting stuff in a bottle, and
our bottles will pass like 2 ships in the night, and
that's right.
Maybe next week we'll be sampling Golden Sheaf and 2XO and talking about it, and yeah, look forward to that.
It's not a bad idea. If I can get that done before we leave, I'll make that happen.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll get some stuff in the mail to you.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you, Dixon.
All right, dude. It was fun.
Thanks so much, brother. Cheers.
Cheers, dude.
Thanks for joining us on the Blending Bourbon podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss us next time. Cheers.